The Book of Revelation. You know the one. Just saying the name conjures up all these wild images, right? Seals, trumpets, beasts. It's a storm of apocalyptic visions that have fascinated and, let's be honest, confused people for centuries. It can feel like the most chaotic book imaginable. But what if that's wrong? What if, hidden beneath all that incredible imagery, there's an actual architectural blueprint?
And that's the question that I keep coming back to. Is this book just a chaotic nightmare, or is there a precise cosmic blueprint hiding in plain sight? An architecture that we can actually map out? Well, let's dive in and see if we can find it together. So, the analysis that's been done suggests a design that is, well, just stunningly precise. The core idea is that these famous judgments aren't random at all. They unfold in a nested sequence, kind of like those Russian dolls. And it's all leading to a very specific, almost legal transfer of power on a global scale. All right, here's how we're going to break this down. We'll walk through 6 key stages. First, we'll unlock the architecture itself. Then we'll map out 2 distinct prophetic periods. We'll look at the violent midpoint that connects them, explore the beast's reign, watch the final judgments dismantle it, and finish with, you guessed it, the return of the king. Okay, first things first. Let's unlock the foundational concept that really holds this whole thing together, this idea of nested judgments. So what in the world does that actually mean? Well, think about the 3 sets of judgments, the seals, the trumpets, and the bowls. Instead of happening, side by side, they unfold one inside the other. The final seal judgment doesn't just end its own series. It literally cracks open and unleashes the entire series of trumpet judgments. And check this out. This visual really makes the pattern crystal clear. When that 7th seal is opened, boom, out come all 7 trumpets. Then, later on, when the 7th trumpet sounds, it contains all 7 of the final bowl judgments. This is so crucial. Each final number 7 event acts like a key, unlocking the next major stage and pushing the whole timeline right to the brink of the final climax, the second coming of Christ. Okay, now that we have the structure, let's look at the timeline it all unfolds on. And what we find is a tale of 2 distinct, yet equally long prophetic periods. You start digging into Revelation, and you see this number just popping up again and again, 1,260 days. It's also mentioned as 42 months, which is the exact same length of time. It's like a code that unlocks the timing. The 2 witnesses' ministry, 1,260 days. The beast's reign of terror, 42 months. The trampling of Jerusalem, 42 months. The text is clearly pointing us to this very, very specific duration. So the big question becomes, are these 2 periods happening at the same time? Are they overlapping? Well, according to this analysis, the answer is a hard no. They have to be sequential. One follows the other. And the logic for this really hinges on one single pivotal event in the text that proves they can't fully overlap. And here it is, Revelation chapter 11, verse 7. Let me read it for you. And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up out of the abyss will make war with them and overcome them and kill them. Did you catch that? The key phrase is, when they have finished. The 2 witnesses have to complete their 1,260-day ministry before the beast can kill them and then begin his own reign. This simple observation creates a clear, sequential timeline. It's cause and effect. So, what does this first 1,260-day period look like? Well, it seems to be dominated by a global religious political system that the book calls Babylon the Great, or the harlot. But, and this is important, at the exact same time, there are 2 powerful divine counterforces at play. The 144,000, who are a group sealed and protected from judgment, and the 2 witnesses, who prophesy with incredible power. You've got this intense global spiritual battle going on. And that brings us to the midpoint. This is the violent, chaotic transition that connects these 2 periods and completely flips the script on who holds power on Earth. Okay, now what's really fascinating here is the domino effect. It all kicks off with a war in heaven. Satan gets defeated by Michael the archangel and is thrown down to earth. Absolutely furious, he gives his power, his throne, and his authority to the political beast. This newly empowered beast then kills the 2 witnesses and, in a shocking plot twist, turns on his own former ally, the harlot system, and completely destroys her. The power structure shifts dramatically from a religious one to a purely political, satanic totalitarianism. And that event ushers in the second 1,260-day period. Now, the board has been completely reset. This is the era when the beast has absolute, unchallenged global authority.
This second period is really defined by three key things. First, you get the false prophet, a figure who performs amazing signs to deceive the world into worshiping the beast. Second, total economic control is established through the infamous mark, and without it, no one can buy or sell anything. And third, this system unleashes an intense all-out war against the saints. It is a time of absolute, terrifying global control.
So the beast has had his 42 months. His time is officially up. But he's not just going to hand over the keys to the kingdom. This next section explains how his entire empire is systematically taken apart piece by piece through the final series of judgments. To really get what happens next, we have to think like lawyers for just a second, using two Latin terms, de jure and de facto. At a specific moment, the legal right to rule, that's de jure, is transferred to Christ. But the actual power on the ground, that's de facto, is still being held by the beast. So the final judgments, then, are simply the enforcement of that legal verdict. And that legal moment happens at the sounding of the seventh trumpet. Remember our nested structure? This is the pivot. Heaven makes a formal legal declaration. I'll read it directly from Revelation 11, verse 15. The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever. The beast's lease is up. The eviction notice is about to be served.
And that eviction comes in the form of the 7 bowl judgments. And these aren't random plagues. They are targeted surgical strikes. The first 3 are about retributive justice, painful sores on his followers, turning the seas and fresh waters to blood. The next 3 actually cause a hardening of rebellion, a scorching sun, darkness falling on the beast's own throne, and the drying of the Euphrates River to prepare for the final battle. And it all culminates in Bowl 7, a final, catastrophic strike on the beast's global headquarters, as a voice from the throne declares it is done.
The system has collapsed. Its headquarters are in ruins. Now, all that's left is the physical enforcement of the verdict on the leaders themselves. This is the return of the king. And then, heaven opens. Christ returns not as a suffering servant, but as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The armies of the world actually gather to fight him, but they are utterly destroyed. And then comes the final sentence on the system's leaders. Revelation 19, verse 20 says, "And the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet. These 2 were thrown alive into the lake of fire, which burns with brimstone." The de jure authority becomes de facto reality. And here, this slide puts it all together. You can see the complete journey from the first 1260 days with the harlot and the witnesses, through that chaotic midpoint, into the beast's 1260-day reign, hitting that critical legal pivot of the 7th trumpet, and then the final enforcement with the bowls, all leading to the second coming. When you see it laid out like this, it's impossible to call it chaos. It's a structured, architectural, and complete prophetic plan. It really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? What if the point of prophecy isn't just to scare us with visions of the future, but to reveal a divine intelligence and a sovereign order behind history itself? And if that's true, then maybe Revelation isn't a mystery to be feared, but a map to be studied.